Welcome back to Warthog News. This week we're getting some updates to the research costs of various low-tier vehicles, as well as some high-tier ones, so be sure to hit that subscribe button, and let's get into what we're talking about here. The goal of these changes is to make it so new players and people who enjoy playing low-tier vehicles run into high-tier things less often. At least that's what they state that is for. Later going on to say that these changes will allow them to add new and interesting vehicles at initial and intermediate ranks, which I like the sound of because I like playing low-tier early war vehicles, but it also makes me think perhaps they are pairing for additional new players, as there was recently found affiliate links for the likes of Mr. Beast and PewDiePie. Now let's directly get into what these changes are. They changed a lot of things, including repair costs, the reward for getting kills in the tank, as well as even down to the cost of a talisman for these vehicles. The ones I'm actually going to cover are the research costs and the Silver Lion cost after you research the vehicle, as well as the new repair costs for the ones that had a significant enough change to the repair cost. A lot of things had about 1,000 Silver Lion change, which isn't much, but some of them were quite significant. But anyways, starting with the research and purchase cost, I'll also be covering it when they pop up changes to the layout of the tech trees. So starting out with the US aircraft, the TBD-1 had its research cost lowered by 1,100 to 29,000. Its purchase cost was lowered by 1,400 to 700. It was also made so you need to research the SBD-3 first to get this vehicle. The F2A1's research cost was lowered by 1,900 to 4,000, and its purchase cost was lowered by 2,400 to 2,100. The SB2U2 had its research cost lowered by 1,100 to 2,900, and its purchase cost lowered from 2,100 to 700 by 1,400. The PBY5 had its research cost lowered by 1,900 to 4,000, and its purchase cost lowered by 2,400 to 2,100. The PBY5A had its research cost lowered by 2,000 to 59,000, and its purchase cost lowered by 3,700 to 6,300. The B18A Bolo actually had its research cost increased by 2,000 to 7,900, as well as its purchase cost going up by 3,700 to 10,000. The TBF1C had its research cost lowered by 1,300 to 7,900, and its purchase cost lowered by 12,000 to only being 10,000. The B34 had its research cost increased 1,300 to 9,200, and its purchase cost increased by 12,000 to 22,000. And the AE20G25 had its research cost increased by 1,800 to 11,000, and its purchase cost by 16,000 to 38,000. Overall, that's a reduction of 2,400 required research points to get through the US tree, however an increase of 4,800 Silver Lions to get through the tree. A few other things happening with the US tree. The M8HMC has been moved to the self-propelled gun line, and now to get it is required to research the M3, and to get the M10 you have to research the M8. Now to get the P40E1 you have to research the PE39G, and to get the F4F3 you have to research the F2A3. For Germany, the BF109B1 had its research cost lowered by 5,000 to 29,000, and its purchase cost lowered by 3,900 to 700, as well as it has been moved to rank 1. The BF109E1 had its research cost lowered by 2,000 to 59,000, and its purchase cost lowered by 3,700 to 6,300, as well as it has been moved to rank 1, and to get it is required to research first the B1, and to get the rest of the EU series 109s you have to research it. Speaking of which, the BF109E3 had its research cost lowered by 1,300 to 7,900, and its purchase cost lowered by 12,000 to 10,000. The HS129B2 had its research cost increased 10,000 to 36,000, and its purchase cost increased by 40,000 to 140,000. The HS129B3 had its research cost lowered 10,000 to 26,000, and its purchase cost lowered by 40,000 to 10,000. As well as it has been lowered to rank 3 and located before the HS129B2. Because who cares about historical progression? The ME410B2U4 has had its research cost increased by 8,000 to 54,000, and its purchase cost increased by 30,000 to 180,000. Also, the ME410A1U4 has been moved before it, and the A1 as well as the B2 have been moved to rank 3, and now you need to research the HS129B2 before you get those, and research those before you get the DO 335A1. And finally, for the Germans, the G91R3 has had its research cost increased by 281,000 to 380,000, and its purchase cost increased by 600,000 to 99,000, as well as it been moved to rank 6. So I really hope that you have that thing researched already, because it just got a big old jump. But overall, for the German tree, there was a increase to research points needed by 200 280,700, although without the G91 increase, it's only minus 300 research points needed, and a total increase of silver lions needed to get through the tree by 605,000, though without the G91 increase, it's only 5,000. A few other things happening to the German tree: all of the Italian planes, if you happen to have them still, are all being put into folders in the premium line at rank 1. To get the JU88A1, you first need to research the AT111H6, and the JU87D3 and D5 have been folded together. They also have some changes to their tank tree. To get the Panzerjäger 1, you first have to research the Squeezy Boy. To get the Stu-42G, you first have to research the Stug 3A, and to get the Hetzer, you first need to research the Stug 3G. And finally, for the Germans, to get the Bagel Panzer 57, you need to research the Jagdtiger, because those have any relation in development at all. For the Russians, the IL-2 1941 had an increase to its research cost by 1,300 to 2,900, and an increase to its purchase cost by 12,000 to 22,000. The IL-2 1942 had an increase to its research cost by 3,100 to 11,000, and its purchase cost by 28,000 to 38,000. The Lag 38 had an increase to its research cost by 39,000 to 79,000, and an increase to its purchase cost by 7,900 to 10,000. The Lag 311 had an increase to its research cost by 3,300 to 2,900, and an increase to its purchase cost by 15,700 to 22,000. Sorry, this video is getting a little laggy, but the Lag 335 had an increase to its research cost by 1,300 to 2,900, and an increase to its purchase cost by 12,000 to 22,000. Last bit about the Lags is the Lag 38 and Lag 311 have been grouped together and located before the Lag 35, which you now have to research both of those to get that, as well as the Lag 35 and the Lag 66 have been grouped together, and you have to get those before you get the LA5. The Yak 1 had its research cost increased by 2,000 to 7,900, and its purchase cost by 3,700 to 10,000, as well as it has been moved to rank 2. The Yak 1B had its research cost reduced by 1,800 to 2,900, and its purchase cost reduced by 16,000 to 22,000. The Yak 7B had its research cost increased by 1,800 to 11,000, and its purchase cost increased by 16,000 to 38,000. The last bit about the Yaks, the Yak 1 and Yak 1B have been grouped together and located for the Yak 7B, which you need to research before you can get the 7B. The AR2 has had its research cost decreased by 1,300 to 7,900, and its purchase cost by 12,000 to 10,000. The Yak 4 had its research cost reduced by 3,300 to 5,900, and its purchase cost reduced by 15,700 to 6,300, as well as the Yak 4 has been moved before the AR2. The PE3 had its research cost lowered by 8,800 to 9,200, and its purchase cost lowered by 55,000 to 22,000, as well as been moved to rank 2. The PE3E had its research cost reduced by 1,300, now 7,900, and its purchase cost by 12,000 to 10,000. Now the PE3E and the PE3 have been grouped together and before the IL-2 1941, and you need to research the PE3s before you can get the IL-2. Overall, for the Russians, there is an increase to research points required by 9,400, but a decrease in silver lions required by 15,400. A few other things happening for the Russian tree: the I-15 BIS and the I-153M62 have been moved over into their own special folder before the lag tree, and you have to research those before you can get onto the lags. There's also some research and purchase cost changes for various Russian tanks, starting with the T-50 having an increase of 2,000 to its research cost to 7,900, and an increase to its purchase cost by 3,700 to 10,000. The T-126 had an increase to its Golden Eagle cost, going from 5,500 to 8,500 with an increase of 300, but it also had an increase to its research cost, because all vehicles that have attached research costs, even if they're event vehicles or something. I'm not going to go over it because it's just weird that it's there. However, both of those prior tanks have been moved to rank 2 and got scouting abilities. The T-34 1940 had an increase to its research cost by 1,300, now being 9,200, and an increase to its purchase cost by 12,000, now being 22,000. The 1941 variant had an increase to its research cost by 1,800, now being 11,000, and an increase to its purchase cost by 16,000, now being 38,000. Overall, for Russian tanks, it was an increase of 5,100 research cost and an increase of 31,700 silver lion cost. For the UK, the Hurricane Mark 1L had an increase to its research cost by 5,200. $7,200 to $9,200, and an increase to its purchase cost by $19,900 to $22,000. As well as it has been moved to rank 2 and located before the Typhoon Mark 1A, and you need to research it before you can get to the Typhoon. The Viewfighter Mark 10 had a reduction to its research cost by $4,000 to $14,000, and a reduction to its purchase cost by $22,000 to $55,000. As well as been moved to rank 2, located before the Viewfighter Mark 6. As well as you need to research the Mark 10 before you can move on to the 6. The Whirlwind Mark 1 had an increase to its research cost from $40,000 to $46,000, and no change to its purchase cost, though it had been moved to rank 4 and located right before the Burgard B1, with a need to research it before you can get to that. The Mosquito FB Mark 6 had a reduction to its research cost by $20,000, now being $26,000, as well as a reduction to its purchase cost of $50,000, now being $100,000. The Mosquito FB Mark 18 had a reduction to its research cost of $10,000, now being $36,000, and a reduction to its purchase cost of $10,000, now being $140,000. Also, the Mosquito Mark 6 and Mark 18 were grouped together and moved to rank 3, located before the Viewfighter Mark 21, with required research to get to that by researching these first. Overall, for British aircraft, there was a reduction of $22,800 research cost requirement and a reduction of $62,100 Silver Lion cost. A few other things about their aircraft: the Nimrod Mark 1 and Mark 2 have been dropped from a group, and now you have to research the 1 to get to the 2. Also, to research the Swift F1, you have to research the Hornet Mark 3 first. They had some changes to their tanks as well. Only one tank got research and cost changes. The Crusader Mark 2 had an increase of 2,000 research points, now making it 7,900, and a 3,700 increase to its Silver Lion cost, making it 10,000 Silver Lions to purchase. As well as the Crusader Mark 2 and Mark 3 have been grouped together, moved to rank 2, and placed after the A13 Mark 2. On top of that, you have to get the A13 Mark 2 first to get the Crusaders, but they also have received scouting and the ability to repair allies as other light tanks beyond rank 1. And finally, the Cromwell 5 and Cromwell 1 have been grouped together. To get the AC Mark 2 armored car, you first have to research the Tetrarch. The Valentine Mark 1 has been moved to rank 2, and now you have to research first the Dilemma AC Mark 2 to get it, and you need it to get the Valentine Mark 11. Also, the Valentine Mark 11 and Mark 9 have been grouped together. For Japan, the Key 32 had a reduction to its research cost by $1,100, now being $2,900, and a reduction to its purchase cost of $1,400, now being $700. It has also been moved to the twin-engine heavy line right before the J1N1, and is required before you get the J1N1. Speaking of which, to get the Key 45 Co, you need to research the J1N1. The D3A1 had a reduction to its research cost by $1,100, now being $2,900, and a reduction to the purchase cost of $1,400, now being $700. The B5N2 had a $2,000 reduction to its research cost, now being $5,900, and a $3,700 reduction to its purchase cost, now being $6,300, and has also been moved to rank 1. The Key 21 1A had an increase to its research cost of $1,100, now being $4,000, and a increase to its purchase cost of $1,400, now being $2,100. The F1M2 has been moved before the Key 21 in the bomber line for some reason, and now you have to research it before you can get the Key 21. And finally, for Japanese planes, the Key 109 has a reduction to its research cost of $10,000, now being $26,000, and a reduction to its purchase cost of $40,000, now being $100,000, and has also been moved to rank 2. Overall, for Japanese planes, there was a reduction of research points of 13,100 and a reduction of Silver Lion cost of 45,100. They also had some changes to their tanks. The Horo had an increase to its research cost of 3,900, now being 7,900, and an increase to its Silver Lion cost of 7,900, now being 10,000. The Ho-Ni 1 had an increase of 1,300 to its research cost, now being 92,000, and a 12,000 increase to its purchase cost, now being 22,000. As well as for the Ho-Ni 3 had an increase of 3,100 research points, now being 11,000, and a 28,000 increase to its purchase cost, now being 38,000. Overall, there was a 8,300 increase to Japanese tanks research points needed, and a 47,900 increase to Silver Lion costs to get through the Japanese tank tree. For Italy, the Re 2000 Series 1 had an increase to its research cost of 2,000, now being 7,900, and an increase to its purchase cost of 3,700, now being 10,000. The Re 2000 GA had an increase to its research cost of 3,300, now being 9,200, and an increase to its purchase cost of 15,700, now being 22,000. Also, the Series 1 and the GA have been grouped together, moved to rank 2, right before the RE2002 Early. Also, you have to research the GA in Series 1 before you can get the 2002 Early. The RE2001 Series 1 had an increase to its research cost of $3,100, now being $11,000, and an increase to its purchase cost of $28,000, now being $38,000. The RE2001 CB had an increase to its research cost of $6,100, now being $14,000, and an increase to its purchase cost of $45,000, now being $55,000. And the Series 1 and CB have been grouped together and located before the RE2000 CN, and you have to research those before you can get the CN. Speaking of which, its research cost has gone up $4,800, now being $14,000, and its purchase cost has gone up $33,000, now being $55,000. And the RE2002 Early has gone up with its research cost $1,300, now being $9,200, and its purchase cost by $12,000, now being $22,000. Also, the RE2002 Early has been moved to rank 2. The G50 AS Series 7 has an increase to its research cost of $1,900, now being $5,900, and an increase to its purchase cost of $4,200, now being $3,600. The C2000 Series 7 had an increase to its research cost of $2,000, now being $7,900, and a $3,700 increase to its purchase cost, now being $10,000. And finally, for the Italians, the S81 had a decrease to its research cost of $1,100, now being $2,900, and a decrease to its purchase cost of $1,400, now being $700. Overall, for the Italians, is an increase of research cost by $23,400, and an increase of Silver Lion cost by $143,900. For the French, the 693 AB2 had an increase to its research cost by $1,900, being $5,900, and an increase to its Silver Lion cost of $2,400, now being $6,300. The Potez 630 had an increase to its research cost of $3,900, now being $7,900, and an increase to its purchase cost of $7,900, now being $10,000. The Potez 631 had an increase to its research cost by $1,300, now being $9,200, and an increase to its Silver Lion cost of $12,000, now being $22,000. The Potez 633 had a decrease to its research cost by $1,900, now being $4,000, and a decrease to its Silver Lion cost of $2,400, now being $2,100. But where's the Potez 632? Anyways, last thing relating to the Potez is the F2222 and the NC2233 have been grouped together before the Potez 633, and it's required to get those before you get the Potez 633. The SM406C1 had an increase to its research cost of $2,000, now being $7,900, and an increase to its Silver Lion cost of $3,700, now being $10,000. Also, it has been moved to rank 2 before the SM410, and is also required to get before you can research the 410. Speaking of which, the 410's research cost went up $1,300, now being $2,900, and Silver Lion cost went up $12,000, now being $22,000. The VG33C1 went up in its research cost by $3,100, now being $11,000, and up in its Silver Lion cost $28,000, now being $38,000. The MB157 went up in its research cost $8,000, now being $26,000, and up in its Silver Lion cost $23,000, now being $100,000. The French F6F5 had a reduction in its research cost by $8,000, now being $18,000, and a reduction in its Silver Lion cost of $23,000, now being $77,000. The French F6N5 had an increase to its research cost by $6,000, now being $46,000, and no change to its Silver Lion cost. The F4U7 had an increase to its research cost by $8,000, now being $71,000, and an increase to its Silver Lion cost of $20,000, now being $260,000. The French P63C5 had a reduction in its research cost by $6,000, now being $40,000, and no change to its Silver Lion cost. And the French AD4 had a reduction to its research cost by $23,000, now being $63,000, and a reduction to its Silver Lion cost of $110,000, now being $240,000. Overall, for the French, it's a reduction of 3,400 research points and a reduction of 26,400 Silver Lion cost. Changes to the tree lineup are that after the A35B, aircraft are now distributed in the following order. At rank 3, F6F-A5, SB2C5, P63C5, and at rank 4, F6F5N, 84, F4U7, and then F8F1B. There was one French tank that got changed, the S35, with an increase to its research cost of $1,100, now being $4,000, and an increase to its Silver Lion cost of $1,400, now being $2,100. About 4 things were changed for Sweden. The J20 had a reduction to its research cost of $31,000, leaving it at $79,000, and a reduction to its purchase cost of $28,000, leaving it at $10,000. And the J22 G22A had the opposite happen to it, where its research cost was increased by 3,100 and now sitting at 11,000, and its purchase cost was increased by 28,000, now being 38,000. Also, the J20 has been placed before the J21A. You could probably assume what the overall for Swedish aircraft are, at least I hope you can. For tanks, it's a similar story. The IKV-91 is having a reduction to its research cost of 92,000, leaving it at 78,000, and a reduction to its purchase cost of 210,000, leaving it at 230,000. Until you realize that they have also made it switch place with the USH-405 and given it a reduction in battle rating to 6.7, and the USH-405 is gaining it 92,000 to its research cost, bringing it to 170,000, and gaining 210,000 to its purchase cost, bringing it to 440,000. Some people have contested the idea of it having a battle rating reduction to 6.7 as it's such a modern vehicle. However, to my understanding, it does not have a stabilizer, and its penetration with the heat defense is only 90 millimeters, and on top of it having no armor puts it much in line with the Type 61, which is a personal favorite tank of mine, and the Type 61 does quite well at 6.7, but not too well, so I think it'll be fine. And as an overall for all of these changes, there is an increase of 286,500 research cost and a purchase cost increase of 689,400. However, if you don't factor in the G91R3, the increase to research cost is only 5,500, and the increase to silver line cost is only 89,400. Now, I'm sure there's more ways you could break it down, like on rank and see what ranks are being hit the most. However, I don't exactly have all the time in the world to do that. These changes are supposed to be carried out on the 30th, and currently this recording is the 29th. This video has been taking far too long to make, probably because I'm really bad at math. But generally, the changes don't seem too aggressive, but more grindy for low tier things. However, hopefully they add a whole lot of new low tier tanks and vehicles for new players coming, or those who enjoy the low tiers like me and many others. The other part of these changes were the repair cost changes. Once again, these are proposed, so perhaps when they're actually implemented, they will be different. And my plan for that actually is so I don't have to re-record all of this video, is I'm just going to make like a part 2 of this video where I cover some other things that kind of popped up as I was making this one. But those repair cost changes weren't very out of line as you were expecting. Some of them were pretty big, but generally what you would expect had happened. The B-29 went up 4,500, now being 38,000 to repair. The USS Portland had a massive reduction of 20,750, now having a repair cost of 4,190. For Germany, the CL-13B Mark VI had an increase of 3,000 to its repair cost, now being 24,000. The HE-177 went up by 4,000, now being 30,000 to repair. The Cologne F-220 went up by 26,420, now having a repair cost of 33,380, which is quite massive. And the Graf Spee went up 7,000, now having a repair cost of 13,800. Only thing that stood out for Russia was that the Tu-4 went up by 4,000 repair cost to 31,000, and the same with the Chinese one. For the UK, the Lightning F6 had a reduction of 7,760 to its repair cost, now being 4,590. The Whirlwind Mark I went up 3,160 to its repair cost, now being 6,140. For Japan, the GAN-1 finally had a reduction to its repair cost of 3,000, now being 21,000 to repair, which is still pretty high for a bomber that isn't effective. And the Ikazuchi went up 30,310, now having a max repair cost of 35,710. And for Sweden, the only one that had a significant increase to its repair cost was the J32BE, which went up 12,520, having a max of 18,120. Now, just about every vehicle in the game had a change to its repair cost, but most of them are very small, going around 1,000, which I don't feel are very important to speak about. There was some other minor changes from the other week where I failed to make a video, as well as some other things that come out while I was making this video that are very much important, so I want to make those in their own video, but this one's 24 minutes long, or at least the recording is, so I think this is all that's going to be for this, and there's going to be, I guess, a part 2. So I want to thank you very much for watching this video. I want to give a special thanks to my Patreons and YouTube members, starting with the Patreons. Still only one, Sukabiat Ilinahui, and thank you very much. And for YouTube members, Amarax, Dweepolopsky, The Royal Rat, John is Having a Divorce, Tex, One Max, Roger Rammer, Grimace, Mighty Peppers, Pointless Gunsinks, and Waffly Joker 6. A big thank you to all of you. YouTube members and Patreons get videos uploaded a little bit earlier than everyone else, as well as unique Discord roles, so if you would like to join them, you can either hit the join button or hit the Patreon link below. But if you liked the video, be sure to hit the like button. If you didn't like the video, don't hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. I make Worth and Great news every weekend, well, at least I'm supposed to. I make other other videos throughout the week, and I like to stream on Saturdays. At least that's been consistent. So be sure to hit the bell icon to be notified anytime I upload anything. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. And in terms of bonus news, just wait for the next video to come out. That's your bonus news right there.